Good evening, and welcome to this meeting of the Murfreesboro City Schools Board of Education for April 28th, 2026. This is a great-looking crowd. So glad you're all here with us tonight. I want to welcome everyone. We're going to begin our meeting with a couple of things. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, and I want to invite two students up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Easton Smith, a fifth-grade student at John Pittard Elementary, and we have Delilah Arnold, a second-grade student at Bradley Academy. So if they will come forward, and everyone else, please stand, and we'll stand for the pledge and then remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Easton and Delilah. That was a great job. We appreciate that. Well, we have a lot of special guests here tonight, and I want to welcome all of them. There are a couple I want to recognize first, though. We have some evaluators here to evaluate us as a school board. We have Ms. Lisa Gregory, who's with the Manchester City School District, and Mr. Kevin Townsell, who's with the Franklin Special School District. They're back in the back, and we're so glad they're here. Be very nice to them since they're evaluating us. But really, thank you for your time to be here tonight. We really appreciate it. Okay, there's something I think you're all mostly here for, and that's these great kids over here in the purple t-shirts. We're now going to have a performance by the Overall Creek Choir under the direction of Catherine Gordon and Erica Shreve.
I've got joy in my soul.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
That is why we do what we do.
Yes, it is. So we're going to handle just a couple of things, and then we'll take a break, parents, and you'll be able to go meet your students outside. First of all, board, you've seen the agenda for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as printed? Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the agenda is approved. Communications. Sherry, are you doing our communications tonight? Okay, he's going to fill in for Lisa Trail. And then after we have our communications, we'll pause for a moment, and parents, you can go meet your kids out in the atrium.
Good evening, Board. I am filling in for Lisa Trail this evening. She is celebrating her husband's retirement, so bear with me. First of all, we're going to start with some congratulations. Congratulations to Northfield Elementary student Waylon Brooks for earning first place in the Read to Succeed Spelling Bee, and to Black Fox Elementary student Brianna Perez Tina for placing third place in the Spelling Bee. Congratulations to the following students for participating in the Rutherford County Earth Day Celebration Poster Contest. In the category of grades K through 2, we had second place went to Ada at Discovery School, third place to Vita at Black Fox, and honorable mention to Nola at Overall Creek. Categories grades 3 through 5, we had first place to Amina at Cason Lane Academy, third place to Savannah at Discovery School. In the category of grades 6 through 8, we had first place to Muhammad at Cason Lane Academy, and second place to William at John Pittard Elementary, and third place to Colton, also from John Pittard. So congratulations to all of those students. We have several thank yous. Thank you to Scales Elementary School's Stildeboro for their feature performance at Earth Day, and to MCS Farmers for having interactive booth at the Earth Day presentation, I think on the square. Thank you to the Girl Scout Troop 240 and 303 for packing meal bags for our school pantry. Thank you to the Discovery Center for hosting Family Math Night, and a special thank you to Miss Dodd, board member, and her student volunteers for helping make our math night run smoothly. Also, the MTSU Dairy served as a host site for a Saturday family gathering as part of a parent university. And finally, the thank you to Elders Ace Hardware for donating soil for our Farm to School program. And my last part is we have some events and announcements. Math Madness competition will take place on May 12th at Patterson Park. Everyone's welcome to join us. It's always a great day watching our students show their math skills. Junior Chef Showdown will be held this Saturday, May 2nd, beginning at 11, and just note there is a location change to Overall Creek. Murfreesboro City Schools will host the Kickoff to Kindergarten. This is always fun. On Tuesday, May 12th, offering families a welcoming introduction to kindergarten, plus on-site registration assistance for the 26-27 school year if needed. Registration assistance is available at all schools from 9 to 2, excluding Discovery School, and individual tour times vary by schools. For families needing translation assistance, translators will be available from 9 to 2 at the central office located at 2552 South Church Street. Quickly, Special Olympics is coming up Monday at MTSU. That's always the best day at the outside track. The parade begins at 9:45, if you can join us for that. And then Ms. Trail did want me to announce that we have selected our 2026 Hall of Fame inductees, and I'm just going to read those names to you, and more information is coming on that. But that is Dr. Linda Arms Gilbert, Becky Bookner, Cindy Jones, and Susan Gendrick. And I was part of that selection, and that was just the best, so congratulations to these folks and their families. Last but not least, next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so make sure when you see a teacher, you thank them for what they do each day. And as Lisa Trail ends, she always says, and those are your communications.
Thank you very much. And thanks, families. I was hoping you could stay and hear those communications. There's a lot of great events and things to know about. But now you can go, we'll take a moment just to pause so you can go be with your students. We thank you all so much for bringing them here tonight and being with us. You're, of course, welcome to stay.
Well, this room's gonna quiet down now, isn't it? I see the preacher's at the podium.
Okay, I think we are all back together now. All right, next on the agenda, we have the best of MCS. And Dr. Duke, I'll turn this over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, board. Tonight it is and I can't believe everyone cleared out. I mean,
No.
that's okay. Tonight it is my privilege to recognize our April Best of MCS honorees, and I'm pleased to say we actually have 2 honorees tonight. So I'm going to ask our first honoree to come join me at the podium, which is Miss Ashley Barnes from Black Fox Elementary School. Miss Barnes is a 4th grade teacher at Black Fox Elementary School and has served Murfreesboro City Schools since 2012. During her time in MCS, she's taught at both Hobgood Elementary and Black Fox Elementary, making a meaningful impact on students, colleagues, and school communities along the way. Tonight, we are recognizing Ashley not only for the excellent work that she does in her classroom, but also for the ways that she is representing MCS beyond our district. Ashley is one of 3 MCS educators that's participating in MTSU's LEADS program, which is a new initiative they've started. And she recently advanced to the regional level of the Presidential AI Challenge after her team won the state competition in their category. This is an impressive accomplishment and a wonderful example of the innovation, creativity, and leadership we see in all of our educators across MCS. At the center of Ashley's work is a project she created called the STEM Campus. This tool is designed to help teachers bring science, technology, engineering, arts, and math into the classroom into a more hands-on and meaningful way. It's a practical tool built around a very important idea, that students learn deeply when they are actively engaged, solving problems, creating, collaborating, and thinking critically. Ashley shared that one of the most rewarding parts of this project was seeing students take ownership of their own learning. She said watching students take ownership and working together to solve problems was one of the most impactful outcomes. It built skills like critical thinking, creativity, and perseverance. That statement says so much about Ashley as an educator. While the project involves technology and artificial intelligence, her focus remains exactly where it should be, on the students, on learning, and on helping our children grow in confidence and capability. Ashley also shared that this experience changed the way she thinks about artificial intelligence in education. She began the process with limited experience, but through her work, she created 9 different tools across science, math, social studies, and English, along with a homework generator designed to support students with different learning needs. And even with all that attention on technology, Ashley has been very clear about one important truth. Teachers are still the most important part of the classroom. She said it's just ideas on a sheet of paper. It takes a teacher to bring it to life, and that is exactly right. We know that technology can support our instruction. It helps us organize, provide resources, and open new possibilities, but it's the teacher who builds the relationship, understands the student, asks the right questions, encourages perseverance, and brings that learning to life. Her principal, Mrs. Strevel, shared with me that Ashley's passion for teaching and learning is evident in everything she does. Since joining the LEADS program, she has thoughtfully shared new learning and ideas with her peers and grown in confidence as a leader. She has supported her teacher leaders by sharing tools for culminating STEM projects, sparked the idea of a school-wide butterfly garden, and consistently brings forward ideas that positively impact her team and classrooms, not just in her own hallway, but across the school. Ms. Strevel concluded, "We are just so proud of her." Board members, Ashley represents the very best of MCS. She is an innovative teacher, a lifelong learner, and a leader who is helping us think about how new tools can better support great instruction. And most importantly, she keeps students at the center of her work. So Ashley, on behalf of Black Fox, on behalf of MCS and this board, I want to say thank you for representing the best of MCS. We are so proud of you, and we know the best is yet to come. Congratulations.
I just want to say I'm very honored to receive this, and I am very proud to be a teacher for Murfreesboro City Schools. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
If you ever have fun, go into Ashley's classroom. It's a great place to hang out, too. So, but I'm pleased to say we have one more Best of MCS honoree, and it is my privilege to recognize another outstanding member of our faculty. And so I'm going to ask Miss Kathy Waldecker to join me at the podium. Miss Waldecker is a band instructor for Murfreesboro City Schools and has served our district since 1998. During her time with MCS, she's taught band at Discovery School, Bradley Academy, Irma Siegel, Cason Lane, and John Pittard. And through that work, she has impacted generations of students and helped build a strong foundation for music education across our district. Tonight, we are recognizing Kathy not only for the many years of dedicated service, but also for a very special honor she recently received. Earlier this spring, the Tennessee Music Education Association named our very own Kathy Waldecker as the 2026 Outstanding Elementary Music Educator of the Year, honoring her exceptional leadership and the lasting impact on young musicians. This recognition is a wonderful reflection of what so many in Murfreesboro City Schools already know, that Kathy is an outstanding educator who brings skills, energy, and heart to her work every day. Throughout her career, Ms. Waldecker has inspired thousands of beginning band students across Murfreesboro City Schools. For many students, she is the person who first helps them discover the joy of playing an instrument, performing for others, and being part of something larger than themselves. Her bands have shared their music throughout our community, performing at school events, board meetings, public gatherings, and celebrations. These performances are more than just opportunities to showcase student talent. They are moments where students build confidence, experience teamwork, and see the result of practice, persistence, and commitment. Kathy is also a champion for the Innovative Arts Experience. She works closely with related arts teams to create meaningful opportunities for students. And she's played a key role in launching our annual MCS Honor Band, which is one of my favorite events of the entire year. That's grown to be a very special opportunity for our young musicians to come together across schools and grow and experience music at a higher level. One of the principals who works with Ms. Waldecker is Dr. Bullard, and she said, Kathy exemplifies the highest standards of an outstanding elementary music educator through her unwavering commitment to excellence, equity, and student growth. Her impact is evidenced in the confidence, perseverance, and sense of belonging her students have developed as young musicians. For many of the 5th and 6th graders she teaches, she is the first teacher to place an instrument in their hands and introduce them to reading music. Through her supportive instruction and belief in their potential, students quickly begin to see themselves as capable performers. Miss Arnett shared with me that Kathy is an exceptional educator who, in Sherry's words, is just the best. She truly loves what she does, teaching band to our students, and every time I see Kathy, she always has a smile and tells me the great things happening in band. Board members, Kathy represents the very best of Murfreesboro City Schools. She's a talented educator, a dedicated advocate for the arts, and a teacher whose influence can be heard in the music of countless students who started their journey here at Murfreesboro City Schools. Through her leadership, creativity, and commitment to young musicians, she helps ensure our students are known, safe, challenged, and empowered. And we were so honored for her to receive the award of Outstanding Elementary Music Teacher of the Year because it just shows the greatness we see is being seen by others. So Kathy, on behalf of the city schools, the board, and all the wonderful schools you serve, thank you for what you do, and congratulations on being the best of MCS.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be recognized here tonight. And Mr. Shacklet, I actually taught your daughter a million years ago at Case and Lane, so it's kind of fun to see that come full circle. I love being the first to put an instrument in their hands and help the students learn a new talent, a new skill, and something that they can often take into middle school and high school and beyond. I love going and hearing my students play in middle school concerts whenever they invite me. It's just so much fun for me to help develop that love of learning of music that they can carry into adulthood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My two kids also got their start with Miss Waldecker, and in retrospect, I can appreciate that. In the moment, beginning band practices at home, we had some different thoughts. Anyway, thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda is public comment, and we don't have any public comment scheduled for tonight. Next on the agenda is your consent items for the consent agenda. Board, you have seen those. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Price. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as printed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the consent items are approved. Moving on to our action items. Our first action item tonight is approval of a contract for bus cameras. Dr. Duke.
Yes, ma'am. The Transportation Department is seeking approval to purchase 25 school bus camera systems from Mid-South Bus Center through a cooperative purchasing agreement utilizing Metro Nashville Public Schools Contract 7624959. The total cost will not exceed $110,000 with a unit price of $4,330 each, and all equipment must be delivered, installed, and invoiced by June 30th. This purchase supports student safety and operational oversight on district transportation, and I do want to emphasize that all of our buses do have cameras, that these are replacement cameras and upgrades, and this project and this upgraded package is in our current year's operational budget, and we're recommending approval as presented.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson and Mr. Campbell. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to approve this contract for bus cameras, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved. We have another approval of a contract next on our agenda. This contract for Beacon Audio Systems. Dr. Duke.
Yes, ma'am. We are requesting approval to purchase classroom audio enhancement systems to support instructional access and translation services in several of our Title I schools and for our overall Title I program. This includes Black Fox, Hobgood, Northfield Scales, and the central office. The proposal from Beacon Technologies includes 44 audio enhancement Beam classroom audio units, microphones, and the Clear Bridge system. The purchase will be made through a cooperative purchasing contract. Translation-related supports can be used for parent trainings and as temporary supplemental aid when appropriate to support access to instruction without replacing meaningful engagement with our English language input. And the total cost of the project, including all schools, is $77,987, and it is funded through the school's individual Title I federal funds. We are recommending approval as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do we have a motion to approve the contract for Beacon Audio Systems?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the contract for Beacon Audio Systems, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the contract is approved. Next on our agenda is approval of a budget amendment for recognition of fiscal year 26 IDEA high-cost funds. Dr. Duke.
This amendment recognizes new revenue from the state IDEA high-cost reimbursement for unusually expensive special education and related services that are provided for students with disabilities. This is new funding in the amount of $98,654 and will be used to offset expenditures related to our special education program and the contracts with private agencies line item. And we are recommending approval of the budget amendment.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the budget amendment for recognizing these IDEA high-cost funds, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the budget amendment is approved. We have another budget amendment next. This one is the fiscal year 26 general purpose interfund. Dr. Duke.
Yes, ma'am. As the board's aware, we're coming up toward the end of the fiscal year. So this is that time of year we do several cleanups from projected to actual expenses. So this is one of those year-end cleanup amendments, which will transfer a total of $46,950 of previously approved funds within the major accounts for our general purpose budget. This will address several accounts needing adjustments to salaries, retirements, benefits, professional development, equipment to recognize the actual expenditures for the end of the year. Funds are all being reallocated from savings found in those same budget categories, so there's no programmatic changes or no new positions, and we are recommending approval as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do I have a motion to approve this budget amendment?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Any comments or questions? All right, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to approve this budget amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? And the budget amendment is approved. All right, next on our action agenda is approval of the 2026-2027 certified and classified salary chart. Dr. Duke.
Thank you again. And as we go into the next few items, these are all budget related for next year. So I am going to ask if yes, thank you. If our friends in the back with City TV can bring up my PowerPoint so we can just go through a couple things. Because the next couple of items all deal with the budget, I just wanted to take a moment and just build a little bit of context about where we are because we have put so much work in this all the way back in January moving forward. So just as an overview, as we think about our budget going into next year, I always like to think about budget in terms of our mission, which is at the end of the day, our mission in this district is to ensure that our students are both academically and personally successful. And we know that every dollar we spent is an attempt for us to get closer to that goal. And that's how we always approach the budget. This year specifically, we set three really specific goals that we think about it. One I've already talked about, which is that every dollar is a student experience. And how do we prioritize our resources to maximize those outcomes for students? Our second one is making sure we are able to retain and recruit our personnel by offering competitive salaries and employment benefits. And that third goal is, as we think about some of the revenue concerns we've had recently, that we address those needs while also keeping an eye on the future and maintaining that strong fund balance of at least 10%. So for our viewing audience, just so they know where we've been, we started this process back in January. We created a budget with a lot of administration and stakeholder feedback. The board has gone through multiple board workshops to discuss this at length. And tonight we're at that place where we're actually approving the board meeting. So this is not the first time the board has seen this. They have seen this in depth many times. After this, and later this in June, it will actually go to City Council approval, then to the state of Tennessee for their approval, and then by July 1, our budget will be operational. But again, the board has already had two very extensive workshops to prepare for tonight's vote and tonight's review, and are very familiar with what's in front of them. I mentioned the stakeholder feedback, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but I did want to share kind of the top three things that came out that we heard from those that we listened to. We talked to our principals. One of the things that really rose to the top with our principals is the importance of those comm coach positions. We've talked about those for several years. Those behavioral supports, those have been grant funded, a portion of them since we started. And I think it was the principals obviously said it's very important that we continue to have those positions. Our teacher advisory council and our parent survey, both of those came back with the number one priority is making sure our staff is well compensated and that our staff see the salary increases they deserve. So I think that's a really good picture of some of the big things that we talked about and we looked at when we went to the budget. A little bit of just before we start talking about expenditures, which is the rest of the budget, I do want to hit a little bit on the revenue side. I always say every budget has limits, and our job is to work within those limits. We know that we are revenue limited this year. We know that We can't spend money that doesn't come in, and we have to balance that and watch that. And we know that this year specifically, our revenues have not increased during this budget cycle as they have in previous cycles. So we are working relatively with smaller revenues as those costs continue to rise. And so really this year more than ever, it's about the essentials and it's about what are the priorities we have as a district. So just to give a little context on the revenue, and then we'll go to the salary scales for that vote. If you look here, this is a summary of what is currently we are projecting, and revenues are a projection. You can see the current year, 25-26, we're at $112,536,000 is the revenues. Next year, we're projecting that increase to $114,833,000. You can see that's an overall increase of about $2.2 million in additional, almost $2.3 million in additional revenues. That's a 2% increase overall, or right at a 2% increase. And again, that's great. We're very appreciative. We're glad to have that increase. But to put that in perspective, you can see the increase in revenues that we've seen over the last few years. You can see back in FY25, we had a 5% increase in revenues. Last year, we were operating on a 3.5% increase in revenues. So even though this has gone up, it has definitely not gone up at the rate that it has gone up in previous years, and that's something we want to be really aware of. The major changes to our revenue sources, we are expecting level state funding through the TISA funding formula, where traditionally we see about a 3.5% increase, and we're going to see level funding there. That's in large part due to the fact that our enrollment hasn't grown as it has in the past. So that's a big piece of, the biggest piece of revenue we have with no increase to that whatsoever. We know that once again, we're expecting level property tax funding. So that will be staying the same as what we're projecting. We are projecting an increase in sales tax of about $2.3 million. So if you look at that overall difference at the top, you can see it's almost completely made up of that. That's the sales tax. We also have requested that our city allocation, the city of Murphysville, their support, that is increased as well. So that is all, those are the kind of big points that make up that one number. So we are seeing an increase in revenues, but I do want to be very clear with our state TISA staying the same, with property tax staying the same, the increases in the other smaller parts of money is what's making that up, and it definitely is not what we have historically seen as far as increases in revenue. So with that context, I'll jump to now what the actual voting item is on, which is our 26-27 certified and classified pay charts. Obviously, employee pay is that second goal, making sure we have those competitive salaries that we can offer our employees. And we know that salary adjustments was not only the number one priority for our teachers, but also for our parents, which again, I think just really emphasizes how important our parents see the teachers and that they recognize that. So I think that speaks volumes. Just a couple of considerations. I always think it's important that we look every year at surrounding counties, and we remain very competitive in our pay for classroom teachers, especially during those first 16 years of service. Our pay ranges go up to year 25 of experience. We remain very competitive, especially at 16. There is a little bit of fluctuation after that we are always keeping our eye on. This year, the Tennessee law requires that the minimum salary going into 26-27 is $50,000 for a first-year teacher. We are already at that. We reached that this year, and currently our starting teacher pay is $50,500. So we are ahead of the state there with that minimum. But you will hear a lot probably in the news as many districts are having to get to that new legal benchmark this year. I do think it's really important whenever we talk about salaries that we understand the portion of our budget that it is. So we talked about $119 million in revenue. 86% of our total budget is salaries and benefits. That means overall, almost all of our money is going toward the people who are in our buildings every day. We're an organization of people. It takes great educators like Ashley and Ms. Waldecker to do that work, and that's where our money is going. This year, as we look at our increases in pay, for every 1% increase in pay, that's about an additional $910,000. So just to kind of put that in play in your perspective, when you're talking about 86% of our budget is people, even raising it 1% is a substantial amount of money and something we're watching as revenues continue to kind of not go up as high as they have in the past. So with that, what we're recommending for our classified pay scale, we are recommending a 2% increase across the board for all classified employees. In addition, they would also get any step raise or longevity pay that the employee may be eligible for. So if you look at our scale here, if you're moving from year 1 to year 2, we would adjust it by 2%, and then you would also get that step raise on top of it. Now, we have a ton of different positions in our classified. Our classified pay scale, I think, is 2 pages long with different positions, and they really vary some what those step raises are. But on average, that step raise is about 2.33% across all classified positions. So they would get the 2% raise across the board, and then if they qualify for step raises or longevity pay, that would be on top of that 2%. Any classified employees not on the salary scale would also see a 2% increase. Because we do have a good portion of our classified employees who are, again, not on a certain salary scale. They're on a set salary when they were hired. The majority of those are at the central office level or the district level. Looking at our certified teacher pay, and again, I apologize it's so small, but there is you can see if you squint your eyes, I think. We actually pay up to year 25 with experience across 5 different pay lanes. So you can be at one of 300 or something places on this map, I think, when you think about that. So we do recognize 25 years of experience over the 5 various degree levels. We are recommending a little different approach with our certified staff, which is that we would do a 3.3% increase for all certified staff, and that includes the step raise. And the reason we do that, it really does equate out to very similar to a 2% increase. But what this allows us to do, you heard me mention before, years 17 to 25, we are not as competitive there, and that is because our steps are smaller there. So what this model allows us to do is really become more competitive in the area where we are not as competitive and keep our competitiveness where we are competitive. So that is what this will allow us to do. So it is a little different model, but it really equates out to almost that 2%, just with some fluctuations in the areas where we need to put a little more money in those years 17 through 25. So a summary of that, so we have a 2% raise on classified plus their step or longevity pay they may earn, a 3.3 for certified that includes the salary step. Overall, this represents an additional $1.8 million increase in funds dedicated to employee salaries and benefits. So as you think about that almost 2.2 million, almost 2.3 million in new revenue, about 1.8 million of that is dedicated directly toward teacher salaries and benefits. That is my recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Duke. Really appreciate that context as we go into these votes on the budget. All right, so board, you have seen a copy of the proposed 2026-2027 certified and classified salary chart. Do I have a motion to approve that chart?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Thank you, Mr. Settles. All right, any comments or questions?
What are we approving?
So this is the chart that we just saw that has the certified and the classified pay. So what they would be, so this is just about salaries for next year.
Madam Chair, as proposed in our budget retreats. No changes to that. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what Dr. Duke just presented to us, what we talked about at our budget retreats and what was just presented in that presentation.
Step 2% classified plus the step, correct? Is that right?
That is correct. And again, it really with the certified piece, it really equals out to right at that 2%. It just helps us be a little more competitive in those higher ranges where we need to be. We need to beef up our competitiveness for sure.
David, say
Thank
that
you.
again. I wish I could.
Dr. Duke, can you recap the percentages for us?
So I'm gonna be honest, where we started at that 2% across the board plus step like we have traditionally done, looking at that. And we stayed with that with classified. For the certified, what we saw is we wanted to improve where we were not as competitive, and one way we could do that and keep our competitiveness where we're already higher than surrounding districts was, instead of doing a 2% across the board plus their step, was to build the step in so that overall it's a 3.3. And then for years 17 through 26, where we have not been as competitive, we are really getting much more competitive there.
Thank you. Ms. Long, I saw you had a question.
Yes, I would like to move to amend this motion to include the increase of up to 10% of the hourly rate of the attendance secretaries because of their accountability, and it's a job that we kind of started last year in increasing them and aligning them closer to bookkeeper status. They are responsible for playing a critical role in our funding from TISA, a tremendous amount of training in their background for that position. So I'm asking for to amend that particular motion to include an increase of up to 10% of the hourly rate of the attendance secretaries in order to better align them and their compensation to the bookkeepers.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Long. So just to make sure we're all on the same page here. So we have a motion to approve the salary chart, and now we have a motion to amend that. So I need a
Correct.
second for Ms. Long's motion for that to
I
proceed.
want us to finish what we started.
All right, if I'm not hearing a second, that motion will die for lack of a second. All right, thank you, Ms. Long. All right, so we're back to our original motion.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, we can still have discussion on the original motion.
I want to ask Barbara a question on the amendment.
Well,
Can I do that or not?
we didn't have a second, so it's not actually properly before us right now. If you want to do that, you could second the,
All right, I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a
go back and do
second.
that. Now, so I'm going to ask my question. You say up to 10%.
Up to 10%.
How do we determine who gets the 8% and the 4%?
I'll let Dr. Duke answer that question.
So as when Ms. Long and I first talked in some of the things that we've prepared is places where the attendance secretaries are not making, we would bring attendance secretaries up to bookkeeper pay. In many of those lanes, it would not take 10% to bring them up to the lanes. In some of those lanes at the top end of the scale, it would take, we would max it out at 10%. So in other words, where the gap is the biggest, we would increase 10%. If saying up to 10% would help make sure that we're not moving them above bookkeeper pay. So we looked at it line by line. So year one may take a 2% increase or a 6% increase, I don't have it right in front of me, to get up to bookkeeper pay. But at year 9, which is the top of the range, 10% would not be enough, so we would bring them up a max of 10%. And if we do have I think in your notebook, in the folder of extra items we put tonight, I do think there is a document that has that laid out. But it is kind of a flexible scale to make sure they do not go above bookkeeper pay.
The earlier years would not require as big of a jump as the later years of experience. So,
Well, I did a comparison
yes,
of the degreed and non-degreed and,
that's correct.
okay.
Is that on the, is that in that budget B?
Yes, sir. So if you'll pull out the packet that's marked Budget B, and if you look to the last 2 pages, that is the revised, that would be a revised, if the board moves forward, that has the new pay on there. And they're on the first page of that 2-page document.
What would be the, without my having to really dig, what would be the impact to the budget?
Sure. The overall, if to move forward with that, the overall increase for the motion, I want to clarify the motion, which is to address attendance secretary's pay up to
Yes.
10%. So they would either get the 2% if that's all it took, or up to 10% to get them closer to the bookkeeper pay. The overall cost of that is right at $40,000.
Total.
So that would add $40,000 to the budget
That's an increase of $40,000 from the expenditures that you saw
that we already.
Tuesday night at the work session, or Tuesday nights ago.
All right, so right now, just to clarify where we are, we're having discussion on Ms. Long's motion, which was seconded by Mr. Campbell. So do we have any other questions or comments, particularly on Ms. Long's motion to amend? Ms. Dodd?
So when we were in budget talks, the 100,000 to our budget was if we put them up to bookkeeper.
Yes,
pay.
this
Is that
would
correct?
not put them all the way up to bookkeeper status.
Okay.
So this is just heading in that direction.
Yeah, it would just kind of,
It is.
it would finish what we started.
Yeah.
It looks like, though, when I'm looking at the budget, the first 4 years, they will get paid the same exact amount.
That's
And
correct.
then year 5, bookkeepers will get paid slightly more than, okay, so from 5 to on, they'll get paid slightly more as bookkeepers.
And rightly so, in my opinion. The bookkeepers, their accountability is even heavier than the attendance secretary. So we do a really good job of taking care of our people, and I just want to make sure that we continue that work.
Could you talk, Dr. Duke, a little bit about, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand, I apologize, what an attendance secretary actually does?
Sure. So our attendance secretaries are really the main data people for our building as far as student enrollment. So they're handling not just registering students. There's a lot of ensuring that the data is correct, that they're correctly identified, they're reconciling reports. As Ms. Long mentioned, they are directly, our TISA funding, and specifically our weighted funding, comes directly by student characteristics that are inside our SIS. So when we switched to the TISA funding formula, I guess 4 years ago, we had a lot of conversation about that job. And a lot of conversation around the importance of that role. So we worked hard to make sure they had a more designated office space, because they were going to be looking at every dollar that comes into our district really generates from their accuracy of information within that platform. They work really closely with Mr. Rocha and his team to make sure that they're being well trained and that they understand the state reporting requirements that are out there.
So they have to work with Mr. Rocha? I mean, I was going to say that's worth some extra money anyway.
So he does work carefully with them. But we have seen a pretty substantial shift in those job responsibilities, probably from, prior to TISA, where it really was about just registering students and making sure the registration was there. Even that was still important, and it went toward accountability. Their job is much more now tied to funding as well.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, Madam Chair, and thank you. Dr. Duke had suggested or stated that we're in a revenue-limited year, and that's true. But as a reminder and for context, that's a consequence of being robbed by the County Commission by isolating shared funds for our use for our students. Today, the federal report came out that Tennessee is 50th in funding public education. We have a state legislature.
51.
Thank you. Surprised the math teacher didn't catch that. Got a state legislature that just passed a $300 million voucher bill. Not $300 million for school safety, not $300 million for mental health services, not for school nutrition, not for curriculum, not for professional development, not even for general purpose so that the local board can address local needs. Say that to say this. That has put us into fund balance, not once, not twice, but looking like we're going to have to do that again and potentially again until we have further revenue resources. And that prevents us from doing what it is that we've wanted to do and what we have set out to do.
Not what we want, what we should.
And the things that I absolutely agree with that, Mr. Vice Chair. Today, I had 2 clients in juvenile court. They're not Rutherford County or MCS students. One little girl was trafficked into this country at the age of 9. She's now 15. She's had no formal education in the past 6 years. The other client, also 15, was brutally sexually assaulted for a number of years. No resources, no help. Guess where they felt safe?
School.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because of the things that we do. Because of the things that we were able to do. Because of the extraordinary work that our teachers and social workers, counselors, staff do. It is hard for me to reconcile when I have a fiduciary obligation, a financial obligation to keep us solvent, to reconcile losing a social worker position this year, losing $30,000 worth of professional development, losing a plethora, a dozen of things that we've wanted to do, planned to do, want to do, and things that ought to be done out of merit, and single out one position for an increase. I believe it to be fiscally irresponsible, though they deserve it. I want them to be compensated that way. And if I'm the bad guy, or seem to be the bad guy, remember this: it's your county commission that removed these dollars. Your state representatives that voted for this voucher bill. Those individuals have failed you and have failed this board, and it's prevented us from doing what we have planned to do, what is right and moral to do, but we have an obligation to continue funding in a fiscally responsible way. And because of that, because of the things set upon us, not by our own design, not by a lack of budgets that have been presented that are extraordinarily conservative and extraordinary in their mirroring what it is that our values are. It's because of other individuals, because of unfunded mandates from the state that takes control away from the local governments, what you've elected us to do. And that breaks my heart. For those reasons, I cannot support this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Campbell?
In support of the amendment, I have compared bookkeepers' attendance. There is, if we grant up to 10% on the salary scale that we've got for 26-27, there is not a spot on here that giving that attendance person a 10% increase is going to put them up equal with the bookkeeper.
That's correct.
That's correct.
If you take a, let's say an attendance person with a degree, 5 years, 2384. Bookkeeper with 5 years, 2428. 10% is not going to make the attendance person higher than the bookkeeper.
Right.
Dr. Duke recommended last week or last time we had a budget meeting to contact principals. And I can honestly say I contacted every principal in our school system. And the question I asked them was, if we were to give the attendance people a bump in their raise and their pay and not do other classified, would it cause a problem? There were some that said maybe. There were others that said no way. The attendance people need it because of the work they do in keeping attendance, which basically has a lot to do with our funding. That's why I support Barbara's amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. And
Ms. Moore?
Ms. Dodd?
Okay. How many attendance secretaries do we have? Do you know? Is it just 13. One at each school?
We have 13.
13. Okay. And the pay that we have right now for them, is it competitive as far as other districts around us?
So I will say that we can kind of compare our classified as a bigger pool. So I don't think I have the data right in front of me to give you an exact number that I would prefer to answer on the record. And so I just want to, Dr. Johnson's team annually does kind of a look at multiple positions across the district. And so, but I don't have that in front of me right now.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. We're still on our motion to amend. Any other comments or questions on Ms. Long's motion to amend?
Yeah, I got a comment.
Mr. Settles.
I'll say, hey, Butch.
What? Oh, I'm just scratching. I'm listening, waiting on
I'm
you,
just
but-
saying hello. I'm looking up and down the row, and I never thought it would be me and Butch, the longest serving so far, I guess I'm into my 10th year, and this by far has been the hardest, the most difficult budget year that I can remember. And I want to echo somewhat of what Mr. Richardson said. We're doing our best with the little bit that we're getting. I'm infuriated that our legislature has decided that it is more important to subsidize rich people's private schools on the backs of school districts. Now, Murfreesboro City is unique in that we're able to absorb a lot of it. So I'm not just speaking about Murfreesboro City schools, but there are several school districts throughout the state of Tennessee that are more adversely affected. And I think it's a travesty that we have to really go through this budget almost nitpicky to find where we can tighten up our belts, a little bit more, because these attendance secretaries deserve more than what they're getting. They really, really do. That's just a fact. And our hands get tied, and because the public can't see anybody else, we're going to bear the brunt of it. We're going to bear the brunt when in actuality, we continue to vote for the same thing on our state level that is giving us the same results, and I think we're doing a lot of extraneous things that don't really have to do with educating our kids or making sure the funds are where they're supposed to be. And it's really disheartening to me. I wasn't going to make much of a statement tonight, but since you opened the door, and I really think that this has been hard, and even especially because our own county commission continues to siphon off, and it always just sounds very small. Oh, we'll just move a few pennies. Of course, it sounds, just a few pennies, but when you multiply that, it comes out to be a lot. And we saw the chart, and we saw how much those few pennies being moved every single time has affected us with no end in sight. And it's disheartening. This is a difficult year. It really is. It's a hard year for budget. And I want to say to the public that we're doing everything we can. We want everybody to be made whole. We don't want to have to cut anything. We wanted to give bigger raises, all of the things that we wanted to do. And it's just one of those years that's, I want to watch that movie. Yes, there is a Santa Claus, because I'm just hoping for a miracle, but it's really, really hard right now. So I'm not even convinced how I'm going to vote on this amendment, but this is hard. This is hard. And well, we were elected to do hard things, but this is one of the times that it's really hard. But again, I don't want to take all the blame for it because it's not us. We can only do what we can do with the money that we get to have and be stewards over, and so make the best decision for the district.
Thank you, Mr. Settles.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell, you have a
One other
question?
Dr. Duke, I know you have said this before, and I don't remember exactly. If this amendment passes and we grant the attendance people, what will that do to our fund balance?
I have that in there, so it would take it down. It would take it down slightly. It's already going to go down a little bit, but we would still be above projected. We would still be above $20 million next year in our fund balance.
The last question.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on Ms. Long's motion to amend?
I
the original motion.
Just to clarify, we do need to include language in that motion that it would be individualized based on the salary schedule. So we can do that by a motion to substitute the amended motion for, just to clarify, so that way because the way I understand it, we are not suggesting an amendment for 10% across the board.
Up to 10%
Up to 10%.
to the hourly rate of the 10 attendance secretaries.
So looking at the amendment, the language I would recommend would be to move to amend the motion approving the certified and classified salary scale to reflect adjustments to the hourly rate for attendance secretaries on an individualized basis in accordance with the salary schedule for the purpose of more closely aligning their compensation with that of school bookkeepers, not to exceed 10% of the hourly rate.
Madam Chair,
What she said.
I move for the motion to conform to the language presented by council.
All right, so now we have a motion on our motion on the motion, correct? All right, Mr. Richardson has made the motion. Do we have a second to, and I'll clarify, the motion was to approve the language that Ms. Bush just said to revise the motion that Ms. Long made.
That's correct.
We have the motion by Mr. Richardson. I have a second by Mr. Settles. Do we have any discussion, comments, or questions on the motion, on the motion, on the motion?
No.
Blame the lawyer.
Right. No, really, do we have any? Okay, let's vote on that. So what we are voting on is to amend, substitute language for the motion that Barbara made to amend the original motion. All those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have a substituted language for Barbara's motion. We've had a lot of discussion on Barbara's motion. Anything else on that, or?
I move for the question.
All right, we're going to vote on this now. Mr. Richardson,
I think we have to vote on a call for the question.
I know.
did you make that?
I did.
Withdraw.
Settles, we were there.
I know, but we were having so
All
much
right.
fun with
No one seconded.
with Robert's rules.
All right,
Nobody seconded his call.
I don't think you have to second a move for the question.
call for the question. I've got my, for all those,
You got your little
I've got my Roberts rules chart here.
You don't have to second a
You don't have to
for the question.
No,
We don't have to second, we just need to vote.
just a vote.
All right, do we want to, so Mr. Settles has called for the question, which
call
means
for the
we will vote on Ms. Long's motion
You
to
have to,
amend.
you have to vote on my.
Vote on his.
Yes, I'm saying that's what he's calling the
Yes. Oh,
question.
yes.
Yes. All right, so all those in favor of calling the question so we can vote on Ms. Long's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do we
Okay,
have to have roll call for any of this?
we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're working our way through. All right, so now we have called for the question. So now we are going to vote on Ms. Long's motion to amend the original motion. For this one, Ms. Van Cleve, I would like to do a roll call vote, please.
Butch Campbell,
Yes? Aye? Whatever.
Ms. Karen Dodd,
Yes.
Ms. Barbara Long,
Yes.
Ms. Jeanette Price,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Richardson,
With a heavy heart, nay.
Mr. David Settles,
Yes.
Miss Amanda Moore.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses and 1 no. The motion passes.
All right. Thank you. So where we are now, we have amended, so our original motion, as you recall, was to approve the certified and classified salary charts. That has now been amended to add the language that Ms. Bush gave us to adjust what the attendance secretaries are receiving. So now let's vote on that original. Well, actually, do we have any comments or questions? Just on the classified and certified salary chart?
No.
Okay, great. Let's vote on this. All right. All those in favor of approving the 2026-2027 certified and classified salary chart as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those are approved. Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda is approval of the 2026-2027 differentiated pay plan. Dr. Duke.
Thank you. So we're going to go back to my PowerPoint for the differentiated pay plan. So thanks to City TV for that. If you can bring my slides up. I do want to talk just a minute about our differentiated pay plan as we think about going into next year. So as a reminder, Tennessee Code Annotated actually requires that every district in Tennessee create and implement differentiated pay plans. Per the State Board of Education compensation policy, there are 3 different categories for which a district can offer differentiated pay, but they must offer in at least one of those. In Murfreesboro City, we have focused on 2 of those for as long as I've been here, and since before there, that we provide differentiated pay. The first one is for high-need subject areas in schools, which is often referred to as hard-to-staff positions. And the second area is for instructional roles and responsibilities. Our differentiated pay plan for the 26-27 school year has been presented in board workshops. It maintains the hard-to-staff differentiated pay that we have this year for our CDC and IPK or special education preschool teachers as hard-to-staff, our best behavioral teachers and EAs as hard-to-staff, and bus drivers for their retention bonus. Those are all currently in there, and we are recommending they stay. We also currently utilize that second prong, which is additional instructional duties, and we provide that for our academic coaches. That also would remain as it is this year. This is not a requirement of the state board or a requirement of differentiated pay, but we do, and it's continued to be in there for the last several years, have offered differentiated pay for our student teachers. If they complete their residency placement with us and then sign on with us, they get a small signing bonus for completing their residency with us. One change from last year is that 6th grade is not considered. We do not have 6th grade listed as a hard-to-staff position for 26-27. It's been on there the last few years. Currently, we have all of our 6th grade positions for next year filled. And so we are not certifying that as a hard-to-staff position, so therefore it has been removed. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and we are recommending approval of this as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do we have a motion to approve the 2026-2027 differentiated pay plan?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Stettles. Any comments or questions?
Question.
Thank you, Mr. Stettles.
Dr. Duke, how many 6th grade teachers do we have? Classes will we have?
Right now, we are estimating going into next year, we'll have right at 12 or 13.
And at this time, they're receiving differentiated pay, correct?
Yes, and so every year we reapprove that differentiated pay plan, and every year we have to submit it to the state. So last year, and if I go back and I can pull it up here in just a minute, the last few years they have been receiving that hard-to-fill staff position. Again, it's evaluated every year. This year, because we have removed it because we do have those positions filled.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Ms. Moore,
Yes, Ms. Dodd.
y'all hang on to your hats. Here we go again, okay? Ms. Moore, I move to amend the motion regarding the differentiated pay plan to add that because 6th grade has been removed from the differentiated pay plan beginning in the 27-28 school year. After having been included for several years, the board will provide a one-time stipend of $500 to current 6th grade teachers who remain in the 6th grade teaching position during the 26-27 school year. This stipend shall be provided for 1 year only and shall not be considered recurring compensation. I further urge the district staff to ensure that all teachers whose positions are included in this differentiated pay plan receive annual notification explicitly stating whether or not their position is included for that school year and clarifying that any differentiated pay stipend is approved on a year-to-year basis and applies only to that school year unless the board continues to deem the position hard to fill. I also want to add that this will be $6,000 to do this out of our budget.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. So we have a motion to amend our motion to approve the differentiated pay plan. So I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Price. All right, so now we can have comments or questions on Ms. Dodd's motion to amend to add the one-time stipend for 6th grade teachers. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the other positions historically that have had these differentiated pay scales or bonuses, were they given the opportunity to retain that a year beyond what it was designated for previously? Do we know? So, for example, the bus drivers that got a bonus, the year after that was deemed to not be necessary, not to be hard to fill, were they able to retain their bonus a year longer?
Is that rhetorical? Are you asking me? I believe the answer is no, but I would defer to Dr. Duke on that.
So to my knowledge, we have not done an extension like this previously in the past.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Madam Chair, this is a I won't say a paltry amount, but it's $6,000 here, $70,000 there, $300,000 there. At this point, I'm inclined to add my own amendment to fund a social work position.
I'm with you on that.
If it's just a little bit here and just a little bit there, we're going to spend ourselves out of existence, and that's by design for the state legislature. By the way, this is exactly what they want. So again, should teachers be paid more? Gosh golly, yes. Can we continue to have our heartstrings pulled in such a way that it undermines our ability to meet our students where they are, to make every day matter, to make every moment matter? It will. And it begs the question to me of why are some individuals being treated with what ostensibly looks to be preference and others not? I want it. I want to give these people so much more money. We've been robbed of that money. For those reasons, I can't support this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Settles?
That was kind of my question, was, have we done this before? The second part of my question is the differentiated pay that individuals receive. Do they not understand that it is a year-by-year approval? Or is that, do you follow what I'm asking? I'm sorry.
Yes, and I think some of the discussion is it is a year-by-year approval, and they are paid out. That's paid out in a separate check. It's not included into their salary. So I believe, and Mr. Owens, correct if I'm wrong, I believe for instance, right now, those that are getting annually get one check in December and one in May. Is that correct? It varies, but it is paid outside of their regular salary check. So it does come as a separate check, is how they're currently paid. We have not, the last few years, we have not made a lot of changes to that differentiated pay plan. And so I think that goes to Ms. Dodd's point about making sure we look at our administrative processes as well to make sure that we are communicating on an annual basis whether or not that's been approved for the next school year.
Okay. And so without pulling out the notes and all of that, what the $500 is being requested is kind of like a bonus?
It would be paid out, and the way we would recommend that happen is that it would be, right now it's being paid out $1,000 split into two payments, one at first semester, one for second. Our recommendation would be that if the board approves it, we pay it out at the end of the year as a single check to make sure that those employees finish that year with us. And then also, we wouldn't want to split the $500 payment into two payments of $250 because it is taxed at a higher rate because it is taxed as a stipend.
So currently, the differentiated pay for sixth grade teachers is $1,000 extra a year. Is that correct? Right. And so this phase out would just be, we'll give you $500 because we're phasing out.
Are we phasing that out?
Yes. He said we're phasing it out.
We're phasing out the differentiated pay, not sixth grade.
For sixth grade.
Yeah, let's clarify that because I almost got scared for a minute. And I don't want people to think, oh, they're phasing out sixth grade.
This differentiated pay, again, is directly tied to, do we need to add extra incentives to recruit
to get people to teach sixth grade. Right now, we don't.
Yeah, and we've made, again, several of the structural changes to try and get our sixth grade on bigger teams and look at that. So,
absolutely.
But again, not being able to put it on as a differentiated pay because we do have those positions filled, it does not impact their base salary. It is just that separate payout.
Got you. So it's somewhere like, and we just don't call it a bonus, but it's basically a bonus every year.
That is correct.
And it's taxed at a higher rate anyway, correct?
That is correct.
So it's $1,000 and they may see $750. Is that right, Andy?
$780.
$780.
Okay. All right, so I have two, Mr. Richardson first and then Ms. Dodd.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I do want to say I appreciate and can support the notice portion of this amendment. Anytime there's increased notice and participation, I think is always a good thing. But that's two separate issues. I want to remind the board that due to the reductions we're having to adopt, due to the things outside of our control, we're increasing student-teacher ratios. We're We're losing 1.5 ESL teachers. We're losing 1 mental health therapist. We're losing half of a special ed teacher, 5 bus aides, part-time, coordinated school health is having to be changed. The rest of certified staff are getting nothing but the base increase that we discussed. There's a decrease in tech certifications. These dollars are meaningful, even if it's $6,000 or $20,000. This is what the district has already given up to propose this very conservative yet very meaningful budget. And again, I can't, it's not palatable and it's not tenable.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Dodd.
Yeah. So I agree with a lot of what Mr. Richardson's saying because, I mean, yeah, we would love to have more money and to just give everybody a big old raise and everything, but I was concerned about, you know, the 6th grade teachers have been getting that $1,000, and even though it comes in a separate check, does that separate check say it could stop any time, or did they just expect it? Or, you know, I just wasn't sure that there was, you know, communication with them that, hey, this could be taken from you. So then the $500 thing came up during our budget talks, and it seemed like a good compromise, I thought. You know, don't give them the 1,000 like we've been giving them, but give them 500 and make sure that they know, okay, that's it. That's it, because your position is no longer hard to fill. So and when the price tag is only at $6,000, although I do understand every little bit adds up, but we also just voted a $40,000 something for the 10. I know you didn't, but everybody else here did. And so 40,000, 6,000. I mean, I'm just saying, for us to approve the 40,000 for the attendance secretary and to not approve 6,000 for, you know, just a one-time stipend, it just doesn't seem right to me. So, hang on a minute. No,
I was just saying, yeah.
not done. Okay. So anyway, I just feel like that, but you know, if you don't agree with me, anyone on the board is not agreeing with me, that's fine. Vote no.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd.
No skin off my back.
Mr.
Thank you.
Settles.
And I do understand that, but that last part I have a little difficulty with because it's kind of like my budget at home, which is very small compared to this. But it's one of those things, well, we already spent $300 on a XYZ, what's another 50? You know, and then next week, well, what's another 35? Dad, you've got, I'm talking about my kids now. But the difficulty that I'm having with this, honestly, is the fact that when positions come off of the hard-to-staff position certification or whatever you want to call it, we have not phased anybody else out by giving. For instance, if by some stroke of greatness, bus drivers are no longer hard to staff, that bonus is going away. It's going away. It's gone. And they're not going to phase it out and say, well, you know, we're sorry, but no, it's gone. And any other hard to staff position, when it no longer is hard to staff, it's gone. It is a bonus. Bonuses are extra. They are not expected necessarily. And I do know that people, you know, kind of plan around maybe having a bonus. I would feel a lot worse if the bonus were much more. But we're talking about $780 net over the year. And I know that's, you know, I mean, nothing to sneeze at, but $780. Again, that's not that much. So I feel a little bit different with that, especially for the fact after Jimmy read the list of things that we are having to cut. And I would feel funny in my gut knowing that, you know, they still got a bonus, but I got fired. I would just feel funny. So I'm probably going to lean no as well.
Yes, I'm going to take Ms. Price and then Ms. Dodd. First, I want to say no one's being fired. I just want to clarify.
No.
No
No,
one
I'm
is
saying-
being laid off. I want to be very clear.
No,
Within
nobody's
this
being
budget.
laid off.
No one panic. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, David. I had to clarify that. All right, Ms. Price and then Ms. Dodd.
Yeah, that was my first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was my first thing. That the other positions were natural attrition. It wasn't something that anyone lost their job. And the only thing that concerns me is, in the past, was the economy like what is happening now? Because before, we have a lot of things that are going on right now. And I'm not saying that $500, I don't know. I'm inclined to go with Ms. Dodd on $500 is not that much when we think of a $6,000, increase to the budget. But I'm also thinking about the teachers that do plan in their budget that amount, and they are now gonna, instead of, if it was not properly communicated, and if it wasn't clear that they knew that this might be your last year getting this bonus, that for the incoming school year, that they will not have it at all. Like, that was my concern as well.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Ms. Dodd and then Mr. Richardson.
That's what I was going to say too, is that it's, and you're saying, well, if we don't give the bus drivers differential pay again, then it's going to be gone. Well, how do you know that? We might vote to phase them out too. I mean, you don't know that. So
I'm just going by past history, what we've done in the past.
Okay. But anyway, I mean, like I said, if you don't like it, vote no. But I just feel like that's how I'm going to vote, because I just feel like that, and it's a one-time thing. It's not like it'll be this every single year. It's this one more time and it's done, and then that goes away. So that's all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Mr. Richardson.
And thank you, Ms. Dodd. Thank you, Madam Chair. To Ms. Price's point, we are experiencing nationally, and especially so in Tennessee, economic concerns and issues. And what does that do? It adds stress on families, on individuals. It creates problems and friction at home. All the more reason that we should refill that mental health specialist that we're going to be losing. So if we're going to go down the road of echoes and consequences of particularized circumstances, then we ought to be looking at all of the consequences, not just one class of individuals and the consequences that it may be having on them. And exactly as was stated here by Ms. Dodd, the board may, in the future, choose to phase things out. Well, that costs more. We're going deeper and deeper. And it hurts. It doesn't feel good to do this. We don't stop. We'll spend ourselves into oblivion and we'll be taken over like Memphis.
Mr. Campbell.
As much as I hate to say it, the old saying is maybe time to bite the bullet. We started the differentiated pay plan, we started bonus pay plan, and now are we coming to a point to where it's time to say, I'm sorry, but we can't afford to do it anymore? Or are we coming to a point and saying, we'll do it one more year and hope we'll get more money next year? I don't know. It's, I can remember times when sixth grade teachers were a dime a dozen.
That's cheap.
Because I hired them. And they were begging for a job. But it's a little bit different now. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right. So to recap, we are having debate on Ms. Dodd's motion to amend the motion to approve the differentiated pay plan. Any further comments or questions on Ms. Dodd's motion to amend?
Repeat the motion, please.
It's long. It was what Ms. Dodd said, but the gist of it was she's moving to amend that pay plan that Dr. Duke presented, the differentiated pay, to add this $500 phase out for sixth grade teachers. And then also going forward, that we are very clear with every differentiated pay that people get, that it's subject to, that's it for the year. It's subject to a different decision the following year.
Last time we're going to do it. That's what we're saying.
That we will let people know that nothing is guaranteed for the following year if they get differentiated pay in 1 year.
I do have one follow-up question. I apologize, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So we're going to be paying a hard-to-staff stipend bonus for a position that is no longer hard to staff. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay, thank you.
I have a question. If the motion fails, if her amendment fails, can there be another amendment specifically on the language of the communication piece?
I believe so.
You can,
Yeah, and I will say, though, that's an administrative.
I think we're
So that didn't require a
I mean,
motion.
I appreciate Ms. Dodd expressing the board's opinion on making sure that we as a staff do that, but we can do that without a board motion.
okay.
Understood. All right. Any other comments or questions on Ms. Dodd's motion to amend? All right. Let's vote on that. Ms. Van Cleve, could we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Miss Jeanette Price,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Richardson,
With a heavy heart and an eye on the legislature, nay.
Mr. David Settles,
Nay?
Mr. Butch Campbell,
Yes.
and Miss Amanda Moore.
Yes.
That's 5 yeses and 2 nos. The motion passes.
Okay. So now what we're talking about is we have a motion to approve the differentiated pay plan as amended with the amendment we just passed that Ms. Dodd made. So is there any comment or question on this, on approving the differentiated pay plan as amended? All right, let's vote on that. All those in favor of approving the 2026-2027 differentiated pay plan, please say aye. As amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The differentiated pay plan as amended passes. All right, next is going to be voting on the budget. Dr. Duke, do you want to tell us which budget we're voting on, or do you want me to do that?
I can tell you. So in your folder, you have several kind of variations of different numbers than what's posted online. As I tried to prepare for multiple budgets, depending on how conversations went at our last workshop. So in your folder, you can find a budget that's marked Budget D. So if you will pull out the budget that's marked Budget D, these are the numbers that I'll be showing on the screen, hopefully if I pulled up the right set of slides, to kind of go through where we are. So this budget includes everything, the last thing you saw at your workshop, as well as reflects the 6th grade differentiated pay, $500 for 1 year, and the attendance secretary motion that Ms. Bush so artfully substituted for us. So with that.
To clarify, I'm sorry if I could interrupt. This is budget D as in dog.
D as in dog, yes, ma'am. So I'm going to ask if our city TV can bring up the slides for me, please. So this is just an overview of our total budget now that includes those 2 amendments in there. We've talked about our revenues. Our revenues are right at a little over $119 million. We talked about that's about a 2% increase compared to what we've seen in the past of over almost 3.5% and over 5% increase in revenues. So when we think about what I'm just calling significant new expenditures we had to include in the budget, again, we've broken this down in our board workshop, but just as a recap, the employee raises is right at $1.8 million. Moving those comm coaches over, which again was the top priority of our principals because that was a grant-funded position. So those are new positions. That's a $405,000 increase there. We're seeing about a $218,000 increase in technology. That goes as we continue to replace our annual replacement of student devices. One of the things we're addressing this year is we do have a new student information system, as we've talked about. So the total cost for that this first year is going to be around $125,000. And then I just put some other general increases, which is really just about the cost of doing business this day, which is about $1.1 million. That includes things like, we're anticipating our electricity bill go up about $150,000. Some increases to our workers' comp bill and our retirement contribution and so on. So this is not every new expense in the budget. We went through that in our budget workshops. I just tried to categorize that. As was previously discussed, part of this, though, we have made some cuts as well. Overall, we've cut 13 certified positions from the budget this year. Partly, as we mentioned, our enrollment did not increase. So we went ahead and where historically in this district we have staffed for growth, we are not doing that this year. We're staffing for what we actually have right now. That is new for us, but in this tight budget year, and because our enrollment, as we've talked about, has gotten a little harder to project. Additionally, we have removed 9 classified positions from the budget to emphasize what Ms. Moore said. All of these are positions that are currently at the end of the year will be vacant for the certified teaching positions all those certified teaching positions that we will not fill. I will say for some of those classified positions, there may be a person in that position, but we will offer them another position within the district similarly, even if that actual position does not go. So we are not looking at removing anyone from those positions. Additionally, with all of our expenditures held steady or slight actual decreases on budget lines that historically we would increase, we held those due to those rising costs. Overall, our total expenditures this year compared to last year, you can see this current fiscal year, FY26, we have about $118.5 million in expenditures. Next year, we're projecting that as $119.4 million, which is a total increase of about $952,000. Now, that does include the 2 amendments that were just made. I want to clarify that. So you are seeing less than a 1% increase in expenditures, which kind of goes because of all those other cuts that we made as well. When you look at our budget summary as a whole, you can see our revenues versus our expenditures there and the difference from the previous year. And it does have us currently using about 4.6 of our reserve funding to balance the budget. Again, the board's aware because we try and budget conservatively, and this year is definitely not as conservative as we've done in the past, but we have we historically do not come close to pulling that out of our reserve funding. But that is there, and you can see it's less than we pulled last year. Overall, when we look at it, right now, that top line, our last FY25 audited fund balance for unassigned fund balance was $20.4 million, which was about 17.08% of our current expenses. If we use all of the money that we have in reserves, which we've never done before, but if we were to do that, we would estimate the FY26 fund balance will be right at a little over $20 million, which is 16.7% of our fund balance of our expenditures. And our board goal, of course, is to maintain a 10% fund balance. So we are still well above that board goal. But I do think it's important the board, as we've talked about, continue to watch that number as expenditures continue to rise, especially as we watch our enrollment projections for next year and actually see who registers and who actually comes in this kind of changing face of public education that we're dealing with right now. But with that being said, you have those budget numbers in front of you with Budget D. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'm recommending approval as presented.
Okay,
Madam
board.
Chair, I have a question.
We'll motion in second. Is it about the budget?
Yeah, well, he said if you have any questions, but go ahead.
We got to do some procedural stuff
I
first. Sorry,
know.
Dr. Duke. All right. So Budget D is what we're talking about. Do I have a motion to approve
So
Budget
moved, Madam
D?
Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Settles. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Okay, Mr. Settles.
Thank you. 2 questions. You mentioned earlier that the state is requiring a beginning salary for teachers. I approve. I think it makes sense of $50,000. Is that new, or when did that go into effect? Was that last year?
No, it's actually 3 years ago. So it was
3
a
years
slow
ago, and I know we're ahead of that.
Yeah.
When that went into effect, did the state give us more money to make that happen?
Yeah, so every year the state has addressed the TISA formula and actually specifies what percentage of that has to go toward educator salaries for existing employees. The reason that we're looking at that level funding this year, so once again, the TISA per pupil did go up right at 3.5%. We're looking at level funding because our enrollment didn't grow.
Sure, I got you.
And so that's why we're looking at that level funding for next year. But the state has contributed additional money each year to get toward that $50,000 starting teacher salary.
Okay, and I know we had already beat that. the next question has to do with operation cost. When, I don't know how it works for the school buses, but I do know I know they work, but I don't know the procedure. They run on diesel. They have to go down there to the fuel place that the city runs, but we pay for that, right?
That is
correct. The city doesn't give us free diesel.
No.
Be nice if you're listening.
Very good to us. We do pay for our own diesel.
We pay for our own diesel. The price of diesel went up dramatically, and I do know, from experience, the price of diesel went up, the price of gas went up, and it only went up just a little bit at the pump down there. How does that affect our budget?
Yeah.
Or did it? I want to know what the net effect was of this diesel price going up.
So we have budgeted roughly, right now, I'm looking here, about $210,000 for diesel fuel for next year. That's comparable to what we budgeted this year, but and I'll go to Mr. Owens, we do make sure we're very conservative, we make sure we put extra in that to account for that fluctuation, if you want to account for that.
However, we've already amended that budget to move some money earlier this year. We are still on pace to not go over that amount. So I don't think the increase is going to impact us a whole lot if it's going to last through maybe September, October.
However,
go ahead.
I'd say if there is, it would take a budget amendment. So we also, kind of like we did today when I talk about those year-end kind of projected versus actual, we're projecting based on what we spent the last few years, what it's going to cost us. That's what we budget. And then this time every year we look at where do we have savings. As Mr. Owens already said, once this year we already saw we had significant savings in our diesel fuel, so we actually moved some of that to other transportation lines. And so that's just something that he does a great job watching month by month.
You said we had savings in our diesel this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we had originally 240, I believe, and we have amended that. We're on pace for about 180, 190 for this fiscal year.
Okay. So we over budget
just in case of some kind of circumstance.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I would like to offer an amendment.
Just, Ms. Long was going to comment. I had recognized her next, and then we'll get to your.
I like being recognized.
Okay. Ms. Long.
Okay. If Dr. Duke, if you can, just for the general public, if you can explain the student information system and why we're spending $125,000 for that at this particular year.
Sure. So we are spending that. Their state contract, the student information system is purchased through state contracts. They bid that out for the state, and they give multiple vendors. In May, actually, the board will see our contract for what we're recommending to move forward. So Skyward is our current student information system. We've had that since before I was here. Those contracts, that state contract is no longer good. It's not eligible anymore. So the state released the new contracts. So we are switching systems to get to a system that our committee has picked. But we do have to make that switch to a new student information system.
So this is a one-time fee?
Well, it's the new cost going into next year because it's a transition year. We're actually going to still be on Skyward next year. Mm-hmm. So we'll be paying our Skyward system, plus we'll be paying part of our new to start that migration process. It will take us an entire year to migrate all of our stuff from Skyward into the new system, clean that up to be ready for the 27-28 school year. But we still have to take attendance every day. We still have to do, so that's why you have a transitional year. So we will see the year after the current product coming off and the new one taking its place. So there is, as all prices have gone up, the new SIS, all of them have a slightly higher price, but this year it's unique because we're paying two vendors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Long. All right, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to offer an amendment to fund one mental health therapist that's been removed from this proposed budget due to attrition. I think that'll cost us roughly $89,000, $90,000.
Do we have a second for Mr. Richardson's motion to amend?
Second, because I didn't get all the information, so I want to hear more. So I second.
All right, so now we have a motion to approve Budget D, which Mr. Richardson has moved to amend to fund a mental health counselor
That's correct.
position. So now we will have any questions or comments on Mr. Richardson's motion to amend.
I have a question.
Mr. Settles.
How much is this going to cost in salary and benefits?
Altogether, I believe that's about $90,000. And based upon the board's resounding support for compensating individuals for their worth, I can think of no better place to put our resources than those individuals that are able to uniquely meet students where they are, meet their needs. We have such a diverse population of students with extraordinary needs, and the work that I've seen the mental health specialists, counselors, and social workers do over the years has been phenomenal. It's life-changing. And to have lost that from the budget is profound, and I believe we can remedy that tonight.
Any other comments or questions?
Ms. Moore, I have a question. So this is one person for $90,000?
That would include, that's an average teacher salary. That would include benefits as well.
But it's one person,
So that,
making sure. You're
One
talking about
mental health
one mental health
professional.
Yes, we've had 5 mental health counselors historically. We've lost 1 to attrition. Frankly, 5 is insufficient. The needs of our students.
I agree.
Okay.
And to have that loss, albeit due to attrition, if we're going to be preparing for future budgets, for future circumstances, and meet people where they are in the circumstances where they are, I can think of no more prudent nor proper position to fund at this time.
All right, any comments or questions on Mr. Richardson's motion to amend the budget?
So where would that put us into the reserves?
so we would, if you'll give me, I can tell you real fast.
Some quick math there.
Yeah, give me just a second.
He's got a
That
spreadsheet.
would have us pulling about 4.727 out of reserves, which would put our projected FY26 fund balance at slightly under 19.9 million.
There was one in fund balance.
Our estimated, what we would expect to see at the next audit would be about 19.9 million.
And Dr. Duke, is that because the aggregate of the things that have been voted upon tonight, that we would go beneath that 20 million?
That includes the 6th grade phase out, the attendant secretary pay, and then an additional estimated salary at $90,000.
So everything we vote to fund has an impact on that fund balance?
That's correct.
Of course. Yeah. We all know that, Jimmy. We know that.
I do have a question.
90,000 plus the,
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Ms. Price.
So what is the caseload? Do you know the numbers of the caseloads for what are we talking about? The
Mental health counselor?
Mental health counselor?
It's right at, and I want to say around 34, if that's about correct. We of course, we work, we use our STARS partners, we use Volunteer Behavior Health, we use Centerstone therapists to meet our mental health needs, and then we also have our own positions that we fund as well. So when we work to put mental health therapists in our schools, we're using the 5 we have this year, the 4 that are in next year's budget. That alone isn't covering every school. It's that plus STARS, plus Volunteer Behavior Health, plus Centerstone therapist.
Okay.
And Ms. Price, I have the extraordinary luxury to being married to a licensed clinical social worker. Shana, if you're listening, I love you, and you're very valuable. I know that the caseload typically should be about 1 to 25.
Right.
And I will send the board, I'm sorry, I don't have that number right in front of me, what it is. That's an estimate, but I can get that for the board and send it to the board.
That's pretty close, is my recollection.
I have a question.
Mr. Settles.
Oh, wait.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
going to finish it up. So you said 34 with the 4? Or would that
Again,
be 34 with the 5? I'm just trying to...
That's an approximate, and I don't have those numbers in front of me exactly right now because we place them in the buildings and then they build their caseloads based on the referrals to schools. So that's an estimate of what I think we are this year, but I would have to actually go and research that number, get with Amanda Adams, and she has all that data here. She's not here tonight, and get that back to the board.
Okay, so with the 30, we're just saying, if I was saying 34, we also resource out. So basically, if we can't meet the need with the ones that we have, we're able to resource out. I'm just trying to understand.
Well, we resource out with our community partners. So like I said, with all those agencies that we have partnerships with in various schools, they serve different clientele of students. And so we use all of those partners to make sure we're serving as many students as we possibly can.
Okay, so there's no current wait list.
I can't answer that
Oh,
question
either,
tonight.
okay, but could,
Yeah, I will let you
wouldn't
know,
know.
but I cannot answer that question tonight.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Price. Mr. Settles.
My question was somewhat related. When we realized that we were going to only be able to staff 4 instead of 5, was there a plan in place for that loss, or however you want to frame it? I know y'all said nobody got fired.
Well, when we looked at, we knew we were going to have an opening there, and we were having discussions about whether or not, as we were looking at places to cut in the budget, of whether or not to fill that. I did ask Ms. Adams and Mr. Rocha to work on, show me what it would look like if we went down to 4. So is it the coverage we have this year? No, it is not. Obviously, we're going down a position, but we still do have coverage at all of our schools in some capacity.
Any other comments or questions on Mr. Richardson's motion to amend the general purpose budget? Ms. Long.
I know it's putting you on the spot, but Mr. Rocha, can you talk to our coverage from 5 to 4? And if you don't have all the answers, it's fine.
So I can't tell you the exact totals off the top of my head. I know that we have collected this information in preparation for the board workshops and something that we track as well. I want you to think of mental health as a continuum. You have individuals that have private insurance, then we have TennCare, which is the services that Dr. Duca talked about, and then we have our own mental health therapists that came about as way of a grant. So based on that grant, the board elected to choose and have our own mental health therapists, and that's where those positions came from.
But we no longer have the grant.
Right.
Correct. And we have also made a plan for those reductions based on what you've discussed. I think the bigger question, with all due respect, is where is the most support and return on investment going to be?
Yeah.
When we think about mental health and we think about behavior supports. Not to say that those aren't important, but as we think about the whole, that might be something worth taking a closer look at as well.
Mr. Rocha, while you're there, do you have a recommendation for an answer to that question that you would like to share with the board tonight while you've been put on the spot unexpectedly?
Madam Chair, I think there was some discussion about some best positions as well. And if that is an alternative that would meet the needs, I would be open to amending my amendment.
So in my role, what I will say is it would be healthy for us to take a look at our behavior services that we're offering and to take a look and come back maybe with a recommendation at another time.
As a whole, you're saying, look at everything.
Correct.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I think it fundamentally questions the virtue of our decision of previously funding 5. So if we've previously believed it to be prudent, reasonable, appropriate to meet our students' needs, now all of a sudden we don't, that undermines why we chose 5. And had to cut to 4 to have a budget that could be tenable. But I've been converted tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm ready to make sure that our students have what they need in mental health. Because what do we see? What do teachers talk about all of the time? Behavior in the classroom. Yeah. Where does that behavior come from? It's not just acting out from little ADHD kids like myself when I was young. It's folks going through trauma, folks going through tumult. Some even, well, I won't put you through the pains of the things I see in court every day.
Thank you. Dr. Duke, you were going to say something, and then Mr. Campbell had.
Yeah, and again, this is a tough budget year, and we've had to make some tough recommendations. I will say, and I will take ownership of the recommendation as the director of schools. You know, when I talk to our principals, when I talk to our staff about the supports we have in place, we did make that decision to move our comm coaches over from the grant because that was a position, a behavioral support position that was very strongly encouraged by our principals. That was their number one request. So we do have those behavioral supports in place. With that mental health therapist, one of the reasons we looked at it specifically is because it's empty. I'm just going to be honest. Like, it was an empty position that would not us having to go to someone and saying, hey, it's not a commentary on whether or not we think that's important, but we look as a school system, what do we have to do? What do we want to do? We have to provide a teacher for every 20 students. We have to provide a principal for a building. We have to provide a school counselor and things like that. Our mental health therapists are incredibly valuable to what we do. They are so important to the work of our system. Our comm coaches are incredibly work. Those are things that as a district, we have said we feel like is what's best for kids. And so we're going to fund those. As our budget continues to get tighter, and we're looking at that, from my seat, I'm having to look at what are things that we really love doing for students that we may have to bring in a little bit versus what are things we have to do for students that really are off the table. So I just want to provide some context there in looking at that. But as Mr. Rocha said, they have given me a plan of what that would look like next year with that reduced position. I feel comfortable with meaning some of our comfortable with the supports that we have in place. Is it what we have this year? Absolutely not. Would I love to keep the fifth position? Absolutely. But that was the reason for the proposal as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Mr. Campbell, did you go?
Yeah,
as well? Okay, Mr. Campbell, then Mr. Settles.
I appreciate, Jimmy, where you're coming from. And I also realize that it's a tough budget year for everybody, Who's to say that the cafeteria monitor is not as important? Who's to say that the custodian's not? All in all, we as a board have got to decide what's best for our students and our employees. I don't disagree with you on the mental health person, not at all. In fact, I would be very much in favor. We've been talking mental health in this school system for the last 8-9 years. Well, I would say that if we can do it, let's do it.
Okay. Any other? Oh, yes, Mr. Settles.
I have a question. The grant that was funding it, was this on the end of the COVID response?
No, it was an outside private grant that we'd used several years ago, which is why we put them in. That grant did go away several years ago, and we had kept the positions in the budget.
And
it was not COVID related.
Okay. And did I understand that it wasn't filled last year either?
No, it currently is filled. It will not be filled next year.
It was currently. We did literally have it filled.
Yes. Moving into next year, that position will be open.
I'm confused.
Sometimes people resign from jobs and retire.
Oh, sometimes people resign and things. Okay,
retire and,
you have to write it out for me really plain. I've worked a whole day today, and I've used all my brain cells. So sometimes people resign out of their position. I didn't have but like 3 left.
It didn't take long.
It did not. So it's not as though, okay. So it was filled. It will not be filled next year. So theoretically, in my mind, when that one position won't be filled next year, then all the little kiddos that were kind of in that caseload will be distributed to other mental health professionals and increase their caseload. That's just the way it makes sense to me, and I might not be getting it right, but am I getting it pretty close? Okay.
We're losing it because of attrition.
Sure, and I understand. I understand completely, but I'm just doing simple division and what's that other thing? Multiplication, subtraction, or whatever you call it. Because if Jane had 20 students and they all had 20 students and one leaves, you got to take those 20 students and divide them up between the ones that's left. Right, Karen?
Yeah.
That's the way it works, division? Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Moore.
Yes, Ms. Dodd.
So I just, I feel like that maybe, don't feel like that I can vote yes right now, but could we bring this up later if like what Mr. Roche is saying? He's saying, let's see how it goes, and if we determine in September that it's awful with 4 and we need another one, then can we add one then if needed?
Yeah, we take a budget amendment and we would.
Just take a budget amendment to do that. So I just feel like, right now, I just don't feel like I can support it, not that, I just wants to see how it goes with the 4. And then if it works out, then okay, we've saved 90,000. But if it doesn't work out, then we got to get what our children needs, or, what they need.
Madam Chair, I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. Dr. Duke, does that eliminate your need for comment?
It does.
Okay.
Well
All right.
said.
All right, so Mr. Richardson has withdrawn his amendment, which led us to a lot of good discussion. Thank you. I think was probably the point.
You have to withdraw the
Kristen.
second as well?
Oh, do we have to withdraw the second or withdrawing the motion? I'm going to turn, I don't have my,
No? Okay.
we good?
We're going to go no. That's my formal legal opinion.
Well, who was my second?
At 8 p.m. it is.
Just to be clear and cover all our bases.
withdraw my second. You must go forward.
Mr. Settles, could you help us out a little bit?
Yes, I withdraw whatever it was I was doing.
Okay, so here's where
But I
we
do
are.
move for the question.
Lord have
There's no
mercy.
point
All
in
right.
moving for the question because you don't have a motion anymore.
We got the motion. That was an amendment.
Amendment.
I
All
moved
right,
for the
so
question.
we have to vote on this because you did it again.
I know.
All right, so we're calling for the question, which I think is to vote on budget D.
Yes.
Because there is no amendment to vote on. All right.
Ms. Moore, this is we're voting so
Original
that
budget.
David can ask a question, correct?
original
Is that what we're doing?
We're on the original motion. I
We're on
move
the
for the
original,
question.
we're on budget D.
It's not the original motion or the original budget. That's the amended budget.
Sure,
Yeah, but
the
it's still
motion-
budget D.
I
It's
understand.
the original, it's with the motion, though.
I
The
understand.
motion was on budget D, which is what we're on. So what I need to know is all those, so we've called for the question,
Yes.
which means we're going to vote on it if we say yes. So all those in favor of the call for the question, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. So now we're going to vote on budget D. No amendments, budget D, which is what was in front of you. All right. I think we're ready to vote. I
Yes.
think we can do this with a voice vote, not a,
Yeah.
I don't think we need a roll call. All those in favor of approving budget D, the fiscal year 27 general purpose budget, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, we have a budget that is passed. Our general purpose budget is passed. Thank you, everyone. I also want to, I guess we have a few more budgets to approve, so, okay.
Will they be as lively as the other ones?
I do not
TBD.
anticipate it.
This is a night of unexpected pleasures. Okay, so now we have, next up is our motion to approve the fiscal year 27 federal funds budget. Dr. Duke.
Yes, our federal funds budget includes our Title I funds at $2.641,223. Our Title II budget, which includes $482,527. Our Title III budget, which is $229,028. Our special education IDAB federal budget, or federal allocation of $1,845,445. And our special education pre-K federal budget at $49,703. These numbers are very similar to our current year. They are preliminary numbers. We would expect final numbers after the school year has started. So we are recommending approval of these federal allocations as presented.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson and Mr. Settles. Any comments or questions on the fiscal year 27 federal funds budget?
This is the money we get from the federal government,
Yes, sir.
so we better spend it fast.
Any other comments or questions?
Negative.
All right. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 27 federal funds budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that budget is approved. Next on the agenda is approval of the fiscal year 27 extended school program budget.
Yes, our extended school plan budget is similar to what you saw, or exactly the same as you saw in the workshop, with $6,107,605 in revenues, $7,096,290 in expenditures, pulling $988,685 out of reserves. I do want to point out a couple of highlights regarding this. This includes no rate increases for our families. It does increase our after-school tutoring to all schools outside of our 21st Century Grants-funded schools, increase in professional development for ESP staff, and even though we are pulling less than $1 million out of our deficit reserves, you can see that our FY25 audited fund balance has over $7 million in our ESP reserve funding. So we feel very confident about increasing our services to families while still keeping a strong program with no rate increases.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 extended school budget?
Second.
Mr. Campbell and Ms. Dodd. Any questions or comments on the ESP budget? Mr.
Madam Chair,
Richardson.
thank you. I am so very proud of ESP and all the things that they do with no rate increases, tutoring for all students. This is an extraordinary program that provides more than just babysitting. This isn't just a placeholder for kids. This is an opportunity for socialization, for education, and we are hitting it every year. I'm so proud of what y'all do. I'm so proud of the budget you're able to keep and keeping the focus on the students. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Settles?
I just want to make sure I'm clear, and maybe the listening audience is clear. This fund balance is separate from our general.
Yes, it is. The ESP is a completely separate fund.
Completely separate. And I also want to bring up a point of information. We had some snow days recently, or not recently, but back when there was snow and ice. And so people still had to pay the full price for their ESP attendance. And that is part of policy because we still have to function as far as salaries and all that type of stuff, even if we have to be closed. Am I correct?
Yes, and so just to clarify, if it's a weather day, extreme weather day, we would continue to charge families for that week. We do provide multiple days every semester, 5 days per semester and 5 days for summer, which we call flex days that parents can use at any point to not pay. So parents may choose to use that because they're going out of town or there's something like that, or they could use them for those weather days. So we do provide those days for families.
And parents know the policy when they sign, well, it's presented to them, I shouldn't say what
Yes,
they know.
it's in our ESP handbook every year.
It is in the handbook, and they are presented with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the extended school program budget? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 27 extended school program budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the ESP budget is approved. Next is approval of the fiscal year 27 school nutrition budget.
Our school nutrition budget is presented similar to what it was in our budget workshop, with revenues of $7,022,313 and expenditures of $9,517,993. This does pull $2.495 million out of our deficit and reserves. A couple of highlights on that we've talked about. It's a continued investment in equipment, professional development, and overall food quality. Our FY audited fund balance was $5.5 million in school nutrition, and the federal government that does the school nutrition program asked that you have no more than 3 months of expenditures in fund balance, which is approximately $2 million. So this spend down of reserves, as we talked about, is very intentional to get us more in line with where we need to be.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do we have a motion to approve fiscal year 27 school nutrition budget?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Any comments or questions on the school nutrition budget? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 27 school nutrition budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it is approved. One more budget. Approval of the fiscal year 27 debt service budget. Dr. Duke.
The 26-27 debt service budget is presented to the board for approval. This fund is used to account for funds reserved for the retirement of the district's debt. Debt is held by the city of Murfreesboro on behalf of the city school system. The expenses of the debt service fund include principal and interest payments for bond and loan indebtedness for the city schools property. The amount this year is $217,612 is included in our general purpose budget for a previously completed energy savings project. The principal and interest are backed by the full faith and credit of the taxing power of the city of Murfreesboro, and we are recommending approval as presented.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Long. Any comments or questions on the debt service budget? Seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 27 debt service budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that budget is approved. Next on the agenda is approval of the fiscal year 27 21st Century Grant.
Our 21st Century Grant budget is being presented to the board for approval. The budget includes expenditures associated with the operating of daily tutoring grant through ESP. Funds are used to provide stipends for certified staff who provide after-school tutoring, as well as daily transportation services for students identified through the program. This budget represents year 5 of the 5-year grant cycle. The funding for the 5th year of the grant is $571,157, which is the same as the previous 4 years. And we are recommending approval as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Do we have a motion to approve the 21st Century Grant? Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Do we have a second?
Second.
I heard Mr. Settles as the second.
Average United.
Any comments or questions on the 21st Century Grant budget?
This is the last year for it?
Yes, so we'll
We have to
reapply.
reapply?
We'll reapply, and it'll be a 5-year grant if we're awarded it again.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Let's vote. All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 27 21st Century Grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that grant budget is approved. Last thing on the action agenda. Approval of the February revenue and expenditure report. Mr. Owens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have in front of me the report on the comparison page. If you'll look at that for a quick moment. Our income is up $4.5 million from this time last year. However, our expenses are up $5 million from this time last year. I did take the time to highlight the income on the chart just so you could follow it along. As you see, the last 2 months, we have crossed the path where income is outpacing our expenses. Hopefully, we can continue that trend throughout the rest of the year. Also, I always include the year-end budgeted income and expenses at the very end. As you see, we budgeted $117 million, and we budgeted revenue of $111 million. Down below that box, I have the projection that we just voted on in the budget, and our revenue is projected at $115 million, and our expenditures at $117 million. So we are going to go into fund balance as projected. However, it's not as bad as the $5 million that we did last year. Outside of that, if you'll turn over to the revenue page, this month is in February, but it reflects our sales tax for December. I would happy to point out that our local sales tax is up almost $1 million from last year. We can probably thank In-N-Out for that. However, that is all I have to report unless you have questions.
Thank you, sir. Excellent report.
Do we have a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Long, and a second to Mr. Richardson.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Owens, who's already seated? He's out.
Oh, boy.
Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the February revenue and expenditure report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the report is approved. Thank you, Mr. Owens. All right, this brings us to reports and information. Personnel report.
You have a copy of the personnel report that goes through the end of 4/28, and I'm happy to answer any questions if the board has any on those.
All right, I don't see any of those. Next item is the enrollment report. Mr. Rocha.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Appreciate your discussion and leadership tonight. I know it's not easy. So as we think about period 7, this is a 20-day report that the state takes a snapshot in of 9 periods total. So we're ending on April 10th. As we take a look, our enrollment did decrease a little bit. We saw 10 students drop at Scales, and then 6 at Mitchell-Nielsen, less than a handful or so at other schools, plus or minus. As we take a look at our average daily attendance, we did take a little spike up, which is a good thing. We sometimes see a little bit of a spike down or a tick down in that last period just because at the end of the school year, but that is a positive sign that we're seeing an increase. When we take a look at our chronic absentee rates, we are continuing to drop, and we are below the rate we were last year as well.
That's great.
When we take a look at our truancy rate, that number is slightly higher. Again, we're still at a better place than we were last year as well.
Good.
If we take a look at those enrollments, slightly lower for our PTR, not enrollments, but PTR, and numbers and staffing. Be happy to entertain any questions.
Did we have any zone waiver appeals?
We did not, no, sir. We had over 800.
Let's not curse ourselves for next year.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, director's update, Dr. Duke.
A couple of just very brief updates. I know we've had a long night. First of all, I want to express my thanks to Daniel, to Beth, and the entire finance team. They have worked since January, actually before January, on preparing the budgets. And so I just wanted to publicly say thank you to both of them for their hard work and their entire finance team. And thanks to the board for their input and for everyone that provided that input to get us to where we are. And we're excited to have an approved budget. I will say last week we finished up TCAP testing, so we are still packing those up. We had a very successful TCAP experience. Again, huge shout out to Dr. George in our instruction department who leads that, and then all of our assistant principals who lead that in the buildings. They just did a tremendous job. When you're talking about the number of tests that we have to give a student through that TCAP week, to have it go as smoothly as it did is just phenomenal. I was at a school today and I ran into a teacher and I said, well, how'd it go last week for you? And she said, and she's a very experienced teacher, and she said it's the most smooth I've ever had it go. So that goes to the work behind the scenes, so thank you to the team for that. So now our attention really turns to third grade promotion and retention. Of course, we know we're going to be looking at that data very carefully as it comes in. As third grade data comes in, which will be toward the end of May, we have already started our communication plan with families. The board's aware, according to state law, if they are not proficient, we have to make sure that they're in the right pathway for promotion to fourth grade. And so we have already held Zooms. Sherry and her team multiple times this year have held Zooms just for third grade parents. We have another one scheduled at the end of May in case they missed the first two. We have letters, we have phone calls. We have a very detailed plan that we will start finalizing with principals tomorrow and have in place so that we expect the scores to come back the Wednesday of the last full week of school. So that will give us Thursday and Friday to do retesting, notify parents, and move forward before the Memorial Day holiday. So it's going to be fast, but Sherry's team's well prepared. So if you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to let us know. And those are my only updates.
Thank you, Dr. Duke. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah, you may.
Thank you. I want to echo what Dr. Duke said for everyone in finance, for everyone at central office, for all the directors, for your contemplative consideration of this very difficult budget year. You've provided an extraordinary and a robust budget for our students and families here. I also want to thank my fellow board members for being able to discuss things in depth, with passion and sincerity, without any hatred or acronym. You got me. It is so valuable for our students, for us to be able to do this. It's so healthy for our democracy to be able to do this. I am so very proud to serve with each and every one of you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
I did notice today, I think, in the paper or somewhere, where the state Senate voted not to require charter school students to take the TCAP test. Both of our local senators voted in that direction.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I know the General Assembly just closed and we have not gone through all of the legislation. I will say on May 11th, I have a legislative review that will go through all the laws, and at that point I will have a full report to the board. But as you guys know, things are passed, amendments are added, and so it happens. And so the final version, I don't know for sure if that's how that actually ended up, Mr. Campbell.
This is an article in the paper, and
I did hear something about that.
Thank you. All right, well, Mr. Richardson, I actually had those remarks written out as well, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to repeat them. I'll just echo what you said, but thank you to everyone who's involved in the budget. We really appreciate it. I don't think there's any other business to come before the board. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes. So moved.
That's a motion. Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Richardson. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Dodd. All those in favor?
Yes.
And we're adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.